Good afternoon, Jets Nation. Welcome to the Jude Jets Show. And week one is finally here. After a long but exciting offseason, we finally get to see this team that Joe Douglas has brought together play actual football. We were 3-0 in the preseason, so can we keep our win streak alive? Let's talk about it. So let's first off talk about how our offense is going to do in this game. Last season, the Jets had the 26th best offense, while the Ravens had the 25th best defense. But both of these units definitely should see a lot more success than they did in 2021 because of the moves their teams made this offseason. We all know that the New York Jets completely revamped our tight end room, added 2 Pro Bowl offensive linemen, and drafted Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. The Baltimore Ravens added Marcus Williams and Kyle Hamilton to a safety room that already featured Chuck Clark, signed Michael Pierce, one of the best run stoppers in the NFL, to their defensive line, and also re-signed Calais Campbell, who is one of the other best run stoppers in the NFL, so that unit they have on their interior of their defensive line is nasty, and we'll talk about them later. And they're getting Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters back from injury. That right there is a pretty good secondary, but is it a match for the elitist quarterback in the NFL, Joe Flacco? Probably. But Joe Flacco, as you probably know, is going to be the Jets starter in week one. Zach Wilson isn't fully healthy from the injury he suffered in the week one preseason game, so Joe Flacco will be getting his revenge game this week, and a lot of people were acting all glum and gloomy about this, but last time Joe Flacco started for the New York Jets, he threw for 291 yards and 2 touchdowns, and I felt like all throughout Joe Flacco's career as the Jet, he honestly hasn't been amazing. It's not been great. He obviously hasn't won as a Jet, so that's never a good thing, but he's had some pretty good performances with not so stellar cast. But now that he has pretty good players around him, I feel like Joe Flacco can actually make some noise. And his leading receiver the last time he started with the Jets was Elijah Moore, who had 141 yards and 1 touchdown in that game. So it seems like Joe Flacco and Elijah Moore have some pretty good chemistry. And if you guys forgot, Elijah Moore was on a roll before he got injured last season, was on pace to have 1,000 yards. And now with him playing with the quarterback who gave him his best NFL game ever, I'm definitely expecting some type of success from Elijah Moore this week and maybe even over 100 yards. And don't be surprised if Garrett Wilson also has a fantastic performance as well. He reminds me a lot like Jamar Chase in the sense that he's a rookie wide receiver and a talented receiving room, and we all know that Jamar Chase had 101 yards and 1 touchdown in week 1 last season. So maybe the Ravens are just overlooking Garrett Wilson and he ends up turning a lot of heads in week 1. Personally, I don't think he has a breakout game, but don't be surprised if it happens. The Titans will also be heavily involved in this game. We saw in the preseason game where our starters played, the tight ends were utilized a lot, and those were where most of Joe Flacco's throws were to, our tight ends. And now that it's actually week 1, I feel like Robert Saleh is going to continue that same pattern, and we're going to see a lot of design routes and design plays for our tight ends, and I'm definitely expecting to see at least one of our tight ends have a pretty solid performance. And if we have a lot of success offensively, I expect both of our tight ends to have a good game. But what about our running game? How is it going to be this week? Well, as I said earlier, the Ravens' interior defensive line is nasty when it comes to stopping the run, but luckily the Jets have a pretty solid run-blocking offensive line led by Dwayne Brown and Laken Tomlinson, who are some of the best run blockers at their respected positions. Now, Dwayne Brown didn't practice today, and there is a chance that he doesn't play Sunday, and if he's out, that's definitely a huge blow to the New York Jets, and we will talk about why that's a huge blow to us later. But I mean, Laken Tomlinson, don't count him out. He's a really phenomenal run blocker, and with the New York Jets talent, running back in Michael Carter and Breece Hall, I definitely expect to see some success, but not a whole lot, just because of how dominant this Ravens run defense is, and I don't really expect the running back to have a super huge impact in this game. But will Joe Flacco be able to stay on his feet? Will he get sacked a lot? Well, a lot of people tend to believe that the Ravens' defensive line is ferocious. It's one of the best in the NFL. And while they're great when it comes to stopping the run, pass rushing, not so much. Their leading sack, or their sack leader from last season, Tyus Bauer, is out in this game, and their 2 starting edge rushers are Ode Awafe and Justin Houston, who had a combined total of 9.5 sacks last season. Jets have a good offensive line, and even if Dwayne Brown doesn't play in this game, and if Max Mitchell or Connor McDermott comes in to fill his role, I do feel like Joe Flacco is not going to be constantly under pressure like Zach Wilson was week 1 of last season. And I do want to mention that the Ravens have a rookie defensive coordinator. And with Joe Flacco being a veteran quarterback, we normally see veteran QBs take the minds of these rookie DCs, so definitely expect to see, some type of brain magic from Joe Flacco this week. But now let's go ahead and talk about the defense. That was ranked 32nd in the NFL last season, and the Ravens had the 6th best offense last year. And you take a look at their roster. Take a look at the talent they have on offense. Is it amazing? No. Wide receiver room is probably the worst in the NFL. J.K. Dobbins is, like a top 20 running back. Their offensive line is on the same par with the Jets. It's good. But they have Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews. Two players who can change a game. If J.K. Dobbins has 0 yards and the Ravens wide receivers have 0 yards, I can still see the Ravens winning. Because if we do not stop Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews, it's going to be a long day for the Jets defense. So do we have an answer for both of these players? For Lamar Jackson, I honestly think we do. Now hear me out. This offseason, we signed Jordan Whitehead and DJ Reed, who are some of the best run-stopping secondary players in the NFL. And I do believe a huge reason we signed those players instead of bigger names was because of their abilities to stop the run. I mean, they're that good when it comes to stopping the run, and they specialize in stopping these mobile quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson. He is the best in the NFL. This is the test of all tests, and it's only week 1. So these two players will be put to the test 100%. But if they can keep up the same success they've had throughout their entire careers, and the Jets defense line is also fantastic. We've been hearing nothing but great things from them this entire offseason. Ravens have a good offensive line. That's true. But this Jets D-line should be able to make some noise against them. They definitely should. So if you put 2 and 2 together, I feel like Lamar Jackson can be contained this week. And I'm making a bold prediction. We hold him to under 30 yards rushing. That hopefully will not come back to bite me in the butt, but I'm sticking with my prediction. But what about Mark Andrews? Can we stop him? Well, the Jets linebacker room was okay when it came to stopping the pass last season. They had success, but whenever they were going up against really good players like Mark Andrews, they didn't look too good. And Mark Andrews is one of the best tight ends in the NFL. I feel like, without a doubt, he should be able to beat C.J. Mosley, Quincy Williams, Quan Alexander, without a doubt. Now, what about the Jets safeties? As you know, the safety room is very weak. Outside of Jordan Whitehead, we have LaMarcus Joyner, who hasn't played safety in a long time and also missed all of last season. We got an undrafted free agent in Tony Adams and a guy who can't tackle in Ashton Davis, and honestly isn't amazing in coverage either. Is that group going to be able to contain one of the best tight ends in the NFL? And because I don't think we'll be able to stop Mark Andrews, I do think the Baltimore Ravens win this game 17-13. But what are you guys' thoughts on my preview? Do you think the Jets beat the Baltimore Ravens in week 1? I'm your host, Jude, signing off for now. See you guys later. Peace.